Hello everyone, I'm Nini FC and this is Blue Lions TV. Welcome to the match preview of our upcoming game tomorrow at 4 PM against Newcastle away. You guys, you know how the match previews go. I'm going to structure it talking about the things that Sarri was talking about during this press conference. Then I'm going to be talking about the lineup, and then afterwards I'm going to be talking about the tactical discussion between Newcastle and Chelsea. But you guys, before I get into things, you know what to do. Smash that like button, help me get more than 1,000 likes for today's video, and press the bell notification button as well to stay tuned to all things Blue Lions TV. Starting with the press conference, and here's a few of the things that Sarri had to say. Sarri did confirm that Hazard and Kovacic will most likely play some part of the game tomorrow, and of course he was making the point that Eden Hazard would like to play, but Sarri's thinking of the long term, and he thinks in the long term it's going to be much more beneficial for Hazard to actually be patient and wait to come back when he's fully fit. Sarri told everyone as well that it takes his teams 2 to 3 months to get used to his tactical approach when it comes to defending off the ball. So I feel that everyone needs to be patient in this regards. I kept stressing this point in the Arsenal game. It was more of a team collective effort than any individual mistakes in defence when it came to conceding those goals against Arsenal. He was asked about Gary Cahill, and he said that Cahill is still an important part at Chelsea, but because he's been away for so long, he's only trained with the team for 20 days. It takes much longer for defensive players to really get accustomed to what Sarri expects from them tactically, compared to attacking players, where Sarri himself stated that it's much easier for attacking players to really come to terms with a new system. Sarri also praised Rafa Benitez, and he said that Benitez made it much easier for him to transition at Napoli due to how great of a manager he was. And for the final point, Sarri was talking about Ruben Loftus-Cheek, and he said that he only picks players based on what they do during training sessions. He spoke about the fact that he's spoken to Ruben twice each week, and I think that's a positive in my opinion. You know, most times managers don't really communicate with players that they have left out of the team, and he stated that he feels that Ruben isn't going to be leaving this summer and that his position will be re-evaluated during the winter. And you guys, I'm going to sound a bit cynical now, but for everyone that watches my Q&A live streams, a lot of times I do drop a lot of things that I don't normally put in my videos, and I was telling you guys already that Sarri wants 2 players in January. He wants another midfield player as an understudy to N'Golo Kante, and he wants a striker of different dimensions to Alvaro Morata and Olivier Giroud. Now that tells me immediately that when it comes to the striker, he most likely wants a player that can play similar to Dries Mertens in terms of that style. So I'm not going to be surprised to see us going in for a striker like that. But when it comes to that midfield player, of course, you know, this is the cynical part. I feel that the club are basically keeping Ruben until they can bring in a replacement. Of course, things can change in football. Let's not rule this out. What if an injury crisis happens? Or what if Ruben does show to Sarri, you know what, you need to play me. I am used to how you want me to be off the ball in your system. Then maybe he might have a chance. But I mean, so far, it's not looking too promising for Ruben. Moving on to the predicted lineup. And you guys, this is going to be a fairly short segment because I feel we're going to use the exact same lineup that we did use against Arsenal. And the reason as to why we're going to use the same lineup, that's down to the fact that Sarri still wants the team to get used to his tactical expectations. That's going to take them a while. And if he's constantly tinkering with the team, if he's constantly swapping players in and out, it's going to take the team much longer to really get accustomed to what Sarri wants. And as I keep stressing all the time as well, Sarri really wants that team to really get used to how to defend off the ball. Now, I've been stressing this point quite a lot even before we signed him officially. Sarri spends a lot of time working on his back four to really get them used to keeping their shape and keeping their positions. We're seeing some improvements in regards to this. For example, the amount of times we got that offside trap well against Arsenal, a lot of people weren't really picking up on that, and that's really a bonus because against Man City, constantly they kept exploiting our offside trap. So it's good to see that the team are really making developments in this area. Now you guys, moving on to the tactical side of this game, starting with Newcastle, I'm going to be talking about their strengths and weaknesses, how we can exploit them, and what we need to be careful of as well. Now when it comes to Rafa Benitez, especially when it comes to approaching those big games, he is someone that's very adaptable, meaning that he does change his tactics depending on the opposition. Now you guys, cast your minds back to that 3-0 loss at the end of the season last season, where we did use that stupid 3-5-2 where Newcastle did just dominate us. and they were by far the better team. We lost that game because Newcastle were able to press us high, and they were able to get Shelvey in the game, controlling the midfields. But you guys, this won't be the case anymore because we do have Maurizio Sarri at Chelsea. Rafa Benitez is an intelligent man. He made that point in his press conference earlier to state the fact that he sees Chelsea, Liverpool and Man City as the three teams that are on another level really compared to the other teams in the Premier League, especially in regards to their tactical systems. And because Rafa Benitez did compare us to Liverpool and Man City, this meant that I had to read the match reports and do my research in regards to the defeats that Newcastle faced against Man City and against Liverpool as well. As you guys can see for yourself with the stats, Liverpool and Man City totally dominated Newcastle. If you see the formations that Newcastle used as well, they did use a back five system, and this makes a lot of sense. And remember you guys, as I kept stressing, Benitez made the point to compare us to Liverpool and Man City, and this is going to give you guys a great understanding of what approach Benitez is going to use tomorrow. Now, I have a big feeling that Benitez will bring back the back five against us for tomorrow, and there's a big benefit as to why Benitez does favour to use a back five system. It's all about keeping that compact shape in midfield, keeping that deep defensive block on top of that as well. The point is, you don't want any of the dangerous players in the half spaces or between the lines, and this is where that deep low block and Newcastle's compact shape in the middle of the pitch will make it more difficult, because the plan is to try and force the play out wide to force us to put crosses inside the box, where Newcastle's numerical advantage in defensive areas should give them a much greater chance at actually, clearing the ball and defending better. Now, the games that Newcastle played against Man City and Liverpool, Newcastle were good. They worked very hard. They did keep their shape, but their biggest stumbling block was the fact that they had no counter-attacking threat. They weren't pushing enough men forward on the counter-attack. They kept focusing on keeping their shape instead of creating chances. And due to that one-dimensional approach, it really cost them in the end. Now, Newcastle do have some threats. Really, there's only two threats. Number one, that's their threat from set pieces. They do have a lot of very big, tall players, so that's going to be where they're hoping to try and get something from the game. And Newcastle's other threat, even though it's not a massive one, is the fact that they could exploit us out wide. And what do I mean by that? Well, as I've kept stressing, and as Sarri stressed himself, it's going to take the team more time to really get used to keeping their positioning and really understanding what to do off the ball. And we saw in that Arsenal game, during small periods of the game, because it was just small periods, Aspie and Alonso did struggle at times where Arsenal were able to create 2v1s against them. Now, you guys, that's not Alonso or Aspie's fault. Normally, the winger should be there as well, but it seems like the whole team was just confused in terms of what positions they needed to take up. Now, the bonus we have against Newcastle is the fact that, there is no Kennedy, and some of their attacking players just aren't as great, let's be serious. But Newcastle will be hoping to use the pace of Atsu or Murphy down the flank to try and get in behind. And also, they'll be hoping that Rondon does manage to cause Rudiger and Luis some issues as well. Now, moving on to us, you guys, and should we be worried about Newcastle's threat for tomorrow? Now, there's actually a ton of positives happening at this moment in time. I think the first positive is the fact that we finally are creating chances, and we're actually breaking teams down in the final third. Now, throughout pre-season, even though we did keep possession, we did struggle at times to create chances in the final third. That's definitely got much better now. The team understand how to break down the opposition, and that's really going to help us. I'm looking towards the likes of Pedro for tomorrow because I see us focusing a lot of our attacks down that left-hand side. I think the bonus of doing that is the fact that you do stop Yedlin from going forwards, meaning that you do stop a potential counter-attacking threat. And you guys know how you like to play. We like to keep the ball on one side of the pitch before quickly switching it to the opposite side. And this is where Pedro's really been able to really shine. And I think that Pedro is going to have another key performance against Newcastle tomorrow, especially when their right-hand side is very weak. And I can really imagine Pedro having a lot of joy when it comes to making runs in behind and really having that space and freedom to play. And you guys, if all else fails, we do have probably the best plan B in the league. That is Eden Hazard and Mateo Kovacic. Sarri himself has stated that expect to see these guys playing tomorrow. Most likely they're going to come on during the 60th minute. And as we saw against Arsenal, they completely transform the entire game. And you have to imagine the context of the game. Really picture it, Newcastle will be defending deep. They will be working very hard. Now imagine bringing on Hazard and Kovacic On top of that as well, Newcastle are tied at this point in time. That's really going to help push the game towards our favour. With Hazard and Kovacic coming on against Arsenal, it completely transformed the game. We were able to keep the ball in the final third even more. We controlled and dictated the tempo of the game as well. And we were able to use our fullbacks to create those overlapping runs as well. Now you guys, this is why I'm feeling so confident against Newcastle. Now, of course, Rafa Benitez could bring a tactical surprise, but looking at Newcastle's previous games against big teams, he's not really doing anything like that, especially against teams like Man City and Liverpool, where we do play a pretty similar style. I just feel that we have so many tactical options to combat against Newcastle, where I don't really feel they're going to have a chance against us for tomorrow. Again, you guys, I'm not trying to be arrogant. I'm just being confident. You guys know I spend a lot of time really trying to understand how a game is going to go tactically. And you guys have to admit that I do get it pretty spot on a lot of times. But you guys, my score prediction for tomorrow is going to be 3-1 to Chelsea. I do feel that we might concede a goal because, again, remember, it's going to take the team much longer to really get used to the tactical aspects of defending off the ball. But I feel with the quality we have and the confidence we're showing right now, I don't think that Newcastle are going to have a chance. But anyway, you guys, thank you for watching. In the comment section below, give me your thoughts and opinions. Are you worried against Newcastle? Of course, I haven't forgotten. Newcastle do have a pretty good record against us, but anytime we've brought attacking managers to play against Newcastle, we've always fared pretty well against them. So keep that in mind. But you guys, I'm going to go now. Thank you for watching. I'm NiniFC. This is Blue Lines TV. Signing out.